Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Welcome back to another episode. This is Frank Agin, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections. Thank you to those who are tuned in and to those who've been tuned in the past, and thanks to everyone who is now subscribed. This is, after all, how we build a loyal base of followers. When you subscribe, for those who haven't, when you subscribe, you ensure that you will get every episode downloaded to your device when we release them. And thanks to those who referred others to the podcast. To get us started, I want to remind everyone that we are looking for some entrepreneurs, some enterprising entrepreneurs, business types to join our team as franchisees of AmSpirit Business Connections. Our franchisees work with entrepreneurs, sales reps, and professionals in their area to help them become more successful through networking and the exchange of quality business referrals. This is done through a structured weekly morning meeting. This is a unique franchise opportunity because these meetings are in the morning, generally wrapping up by about 9 a.m. This allows a successful business type or professional to add this franchise opportunity onto what they're already doing. Again, all of our franchisees do something else for a couple hours in the early morning, a few days a week. These franchisees work the AmSpirit Business Connections business model, and the rest of the time they're attorneys, accountants, realtors, coaches, and consultants of various kinds. The wonderful thing is that not only do our franchisees realize a financial gain from operating the AmSpirit Business Connections franchise, but the business networks that they build as they do this become a great source of referrals for their primary business focus as well. Perhaps you know someone, perhaps you are someone, whatever the case. To learn more about the AmSpirit Business Connections franchise opportunity, please contact me using the email in the show notes or the one provided at the end of this program. Okay, pop quiz. What's the number one detriment to entrepreneurs, sales reps, and professionals building their networks? Subpar messaging. In short, they do a poor job of explaining who they are and what they do. Their elevator pitch runs on or is confusing or completely non-existent. Or could it be lack of follow-up? In other words, they're offered contacts, opportunities, information, referrals, and a whole lot more, but they fail to take advantage of those things. They commit to doing things, but then don't. They just don't follow up. Or could it be inability to add value? More or less, they're completely focused on themselves, and they're looking for things for themselves, and they don't look to try and help other people, add value to other people. Or could it be all of the above, a combination of subpar messaging, lack of follow-up, and inability to add value to others? Admittedly, you could make an argument that any of these are the primary detriment to entrepreneurs, sales reps, and professionals building their networks. I, however, think the answer is none of the above. Okay, that wasn't fair. I didn't give you that option. But I don't think that any of these is the primary reason why people don't build their networks. What I see as the primary detriment to building a network is nothing. And what I mean is that people trip themselves up most in building a network in that they're doing nothing. Maybe it's not exactly nothing, but they aren't going about doing anything that amounts to what I would term as forward progress. More or less, they're getting ready to get ready and nothing more. They're researching the best events to attend, engaging in a sort of complicated mental gymnastics, trying to find out the quintessential event as if stumbling on the second best would somehow be an unforgivable, complete waste of time. Or they're poring over LinkedIn to find the best of the best people to connect with, whether nationally, internationally, or just in their area. But then they're never able to take action as they second guess themselves as if there is a wrong answer. Or they're working to hone the perfect message, have the perfect business card, perfect look, perfect whatever, perfect 30-second commercial. In their heart of hearts, they know there's no such thing as perfect. But for them, good enough isn't, well, good enough, if you can follow that. They know they need to network, but they're caught up doing lots, but actually accomplishing nothing or very little. This isn't really procrastination. To a degree, it's worse. At least with procrastination, they would be presumably being engaged in some other productive activity while they're avoiding networking. Rather, they're getting ready to get ready, and that's much worse as the time is wasted and nothing gets done. In thinking about this, it reminded me of a story that someone shared with me last year. If you caught episode 34, I interviewed Jason Wades. As a refresher for those who caught that episode and a summary for those who didn't, Jason is someone who's been and continues to be an innovator of using networking and social media to grow his businesses, which are a growing series of floral shops operating under the brands of Bloomtastics and well as Orchids and Ivy. At any rate, about a year ago, Jason shared with me a saying that he and his business partner and wife, Heather, have, and the saying is, you're better to be ignorance on fire than genius on ice. That was a curious statement, and after a short explanation, which I'll get into, Jason shared the story that created it. A few years earlier, he and Heather had hired two people, each who were to serve as wedding consultants in their business. You see, every year their floral business does close to 100 weddings, and these two employees were to meet with prospective clients, sell them on floral services, and then help serve the sale through all that's involved in the wedding nuptials. Don't need to get into all of that. At any rate, the first employee knew very little about the business, but that didn't deter her. She jumped in and started following up on leads from trade events and bridal shows. While she was fumbling with terminology and had to work her way up the learning curve on wedding flowers and logistics and the process and pricing, and she made some honest mistakes, but despite all this, she eagerly met with prospects and closed business with remarkable regularity. The second employee also knew very little about the business, and she started in earnest learning about every and all aspects of it. She was consumed with every form that they filled out, every detail. She prepared and she prepared and she prepared, but she was never quite ready to interface with prospective clients. In the end, this second employee was a genius when it came to the wedding flower business, but she'd iced her productivity. Using my words, she was stuck, seemingly perpetually getting ready to get ready. Using Jason's words, she was a genius on ice. The first employee, relatively speaking, was ignorant about the wedding flower business, but she was eager to be productive and was literally on fire, ignorance on fire, in making things happen. From this was born the company saying for Jason and Heather, "You're better be ignorance on fire than genius on ice." Simply translated, you're of greater value to those you serve by making a spirited effort, even if you don't have all the answers, as compared to someone who has all the answers but's doing little. The same applies to networking. You're better to be ignorant of the best places to be, ignorant of the greatest people to be with, and ignorant of the perfect approach, as long as you're eagerly doing it. Here's the reality. There's no best networking event. There are only networking events that you make the best of. There are no greatest people to network. In reality, we're all connected, and if you jump into the process, eventually you'll be connected to the ones that work great for you. There's no perfect wording, no perfect look, or no perfect anything. Really, imperfections works better than you think. Remember, an imperfect plan executed is infinitely better than a perfect plan never executed. So when it comes to networking, start now. Yeah, there are things to learn. There always will be. Yes, there are some networking events that are better than others, and some contacts that are better than others. So what? And know this, if you're giving it the old college try, so to speak, no matter what you have to say or however you present yourself, it'll be good enough. Go with it. See how it goes, play with it, and improve it for the next time. You will always be a work in progress. I know that I am, and I've been networking for years. But you're better off trying passionately, getting after networking today, than waiting until some future date when you're more comfortable with your level of knowledge and all the stars are perfectly aligned. Think about it. Only a fool would not get behind the person who says, in word or in deed, I may not have it all figured out, but I do know for sure that I'm committed to helping you, connecting you, learning from you, teaching you. The lesson is simple. If you want to be a good networker, if you want to build a good network, become ignorance on fire today. In time, the genius will come.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.